Tonight's red hot story: outrage and riots have broken out in the United Kingdom, the UK, after three little girls, ages 9 years old, 7 years old, and 6 years old, were massacred, murdered, killed in a knife attack at a Taylor Swift-themed dance party for little girls. The suspect, whose name is Alex Muganwa Ruda Kubana, who was born in Rwanda, known for one thing and one thing only, Rwanda. His parents came from Rwanda. He was born in Wales. His name wasn't released for a number of days because he's 17 years old, and that fueled suspicion that the attacker was a radical Islamic migrant, like we've seen so many other times, so many other knife attacks across Europe that have been downplayed by the left, which is always the case. In lockstep, the protesters, who now face up to 10 years in prison, have been branded by the media and some in the government there as anti-immigrant, far-right white extremists. Sounds a little bit familiar, doesn't it? I think we've heard the same language here. Not to, mention, though, that the emboldened, armed Muslim migrants are now roaming the streets, beating up people. Sky News even cut their feed, a live reporter out on the street when this happened.
Community leaders have been speaking to the police as well because...
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Right, I think, apologies for the language you're hearing, but I think you can hear there.
Yeah, Katie, I think Becky, I apologise. We need to leave you there.
We need to leave you there. And I got to tell you, I was in London yesterday, and I was talking to a British man in his 70s, and he brought this up, the murder of the three little girls, and how the country is being overrun by huge numbers of migrants who cover their faces and wear hoodies and attack people on the streets and have disdain for the culture there. And the country is at a boiling point.
Well, I mean, these are policy conversations that need to happen, but they're not being able to happen, especially in the UK, because of the Communications Act of 2003, which basically says that any electronic communication, either on Facebook or whatnot, is arrestable if someone finds them grossly offensive or indecent or false for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, or needless anxiety to another person. So this has been a lot of right-wing groups, people who want to limit immigration, have been characterized as that, and then they've been thrown in jail basically for racist Facebook posts or, selling anti-immigrant stickers, and it's causing a lot of anxiety, and you see it boiling up on the streets. Is violence the right way? No, but the fact that they're having the First Amendment stifled, the government is siding with all of these Muslim groups, or they didn't arrest an Asian gang for fear of being labeled racist, right, which was basically, basically for over 16 years, had hundreds of thousands of girls molested them. So these are the things that are happening in Europe right now, and it's bubbling up.
And Jason, the news over there, they're showing this mob in the street, that mob. They have Antifa out there. They're carrying Palestinian flags and Hamas flags. The so-called right-wing radicals are carrying British flags and Israeli flags. The world is on fire.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a problem. Particularly, it started with this disinformation that this guy was a migrant, and then they
it started with the murders of three little girls.
Right, but the murders were carried out by a British person, a person who was born in Great Britain.
To Rwandan parents.
Right. So if you have immigrant parents, you're still someone who is from the place that you were born. He was born and raised in Great Britain.
I think his parents brought their values with them, too.
My point is that, when you have this rhetoric that it was undocumented or illegal, alien, and then they start burning down hotels with babies and children in them, the first thing that happened was absolutely horrific, and I hope that person gets everything that they deserve. But, when you start burning down hotels, I think it's, it's something, violence should be condemned all the way around.